Hi, I'm Jess. This is Adam.
Hi, Ian.
And this is a Adam Asks Jess video. It's the second one.
Yep.
And the last one did all right. It took, what were we called? The cannonball of property. Cannonball of property. And we thought we'd take that.
Yeah, happy with that.
Maybe. We might want to be viewed as a little bit more serious. Hopefully we're going to be a bit more serious today. Lots of comments. It did really well in the views. There were lots of people who watched it and commented. Thanks very much for watching it and commenting. We've read all the comments. I've replied to quite a few of them. In fact, actually, as of right now, all of them. I've got to say, if I put my name next to it, I'll sign it off as me. I replied. There's a few where it was the same question, so somebody else has copied and pasted, and they'll always put their names. I'm not going to say I'm replying to all of them, but I'll reply to as many as I can. Time permitting and whatnot. So yes, please feel free to write a comment. You'll get a reply. We're going to be talking today. Well, Adam's got a load of questions that
Well,
we have.
one big
one, but also out of all the comments in that last video, we've picked out. So hopefully we're going to be replying back in this video to some of the comments in the last one, and that's how we see this going. You know, rather than me just talking at a camera like I used to do, which I still do. You know, we've got a list of different types of videos that we're going to be making, and this is a key one. So we can have a chat and we can talk about the things that are on landlords' minds. We're going to up our game a little bit. One of the comments was, your sound quality's awful, the lighting was terrible, and you were just rambling.
I think someone called you a Muppet.
I think somebody called me a Muppet as well, yeah.
I like
it. So yeah, we're definitely going to try. We've got a slightly different mic set up today, so hopefully that's going to be better. I've been looking on Amazon for a brand new microphone. Who knew you could get geeky about a microphone? But we'll do all that. But come on, before I'm rambling again.
Yeah, you're rambling.
You're right.
Let's
You're
get
right.
to it.
I need you to sharpen it up.
To be more like David Frost.
Exactly.
Okay,
Go
right.
on.
So let's jump straight in.
Yep.
With everything that's being said in the news about interest rates, inflation, recession, why would you buy another buy-to-let property today? And is BuyToLet dead in 2022?
Ooh, so you're doing that as one question, but that was three people's questions all rolled in
That's
together.
That's how they always
Okay,
interview politicians. They always ask them about three things at once.
Things to confuddle them. Yeah. Okay. Right. So, is BuyToLet dead? No. Would I buy some more houses? Yes. One of the things that was thrown at us in a comment, and it's totally fair comment. It's an advert for BuyToLet. Was somebody said, "Yeah, I'm a landlord. I'm going to talk evangelically about BuyToLet. That's we run a letting agent. I want more people to buy more houses. Is that a self-interest?" But my answer to that comment, and it's a fair one, I think, is I'm still buying. So the answer to your question is, would I still buy? The answer is yes. Now I'll explain why I'll still buy in a moment. But if you think that maybe I've got some kind of vested interest, well, of course I have. Run a letting agent. We'd love to manage your properties, buy more houses, of course, yeah. But know that this person is buying more houses. So I'm not just spinning you a line. I'm buying more houses. Buying one this month, and hopefully I'll buy two next month, and I'll buy another one or two next month, and that's just the way it goes. I'm always thinking about it, assessing stuff. I can't imagine a situation where I would stop buying. I'll buy different things at different times for different reasons and do different things with them. But right now, actually, I haven't altered my strategy much at all.
I think you have to alter your expectations, though.
I've been asked this question a few times, as you'd expect. We meet clients, and I've been through this. I've been doing this for nearly 20 years. BuyToLet has been going since the Roman times. If you want to think about it, one of the things that
we found out they had HMOs.
They had HMOs in the Roman times. Yeah.
They weren't called that.
They weren't called that. Of course they weren't. No. But the idea of having something and renting it out has been going a long time. So I don't think BuyToLet's dead. No, I don't think it will ever die. It will change. I've been through this. In 20 years, I went through the 2008 crash. Money gets made in cycles. I made more money back then, and we'll perhaps do a few more videos on houses I bought back before the crash and what's happened to them in the intervening 15 and a bit years. Maybe we'll do some of those. That could be a topic for some other videos.
So if that's the case, yes, you would buy another buy-to-let property today.
Yeah.
How are you looking at your return on investment or return on capital employed, however you want to call it,
and why? So I bring up the specific example of the houses in that 2008 time because we used to buy for a completely different reason. And it's gradually come in that we see more and more landlords say, I'm buying for cash flow, I want cash flow. And of course, great. And if you've got interest rates at 350-year historic lows of 0.1 or 0.5%, then you're going to get some cash flow. But interest rates today are no higher than they used to be in 2006, 7, 8. I mean, there was quite a fluctuation at that time. Before you write in the comments what they are, of course, they were going up and then they came down. And the historic interest rate is around 5%. Now, completely put aside the market panic, the mini budget that created the situation where mortgage companies pulled products. That won't last. That can't last. The skyscrapers full of floor plates of hundreds of people that work for mortgage companies that need to lend money to pay their wages next month and the month after. Banks lend money. All they are trying to figure out right now is how much to price that money at. You can still get mortgages. Right now, I can get mortgages. I'm doing 6 or 7 refinances right now, and it's not pretty. And I might not go through with 1 or 2 of them, but I'm convinced that the 1 or 2 that I pull out of, and underwriters are being tricky, all sorts of things. Weird. It almost feels like the lenders might not want to lend at that rate that I've got secured. And right now, I think that if I had to refinance those ones again right now, I'd probably wait a couple of weeks. And I imagine it'll be a couple of weeks, maybe 2 months, and then there'll be some products in the mix that I'm happy enough with to get on with it. Maybe it's 1% more than I really want to pay, but it will get my money back out and I'll go buy more houses. But going back to 2008, we used to buy houses for the capital gain and the capital growth. Mm-hmm. So I used to say it washes its face. So I bought some houses that I wouldn't buy now, and I wouldn't recommend you bought them now, because the margin was negative. I was having to feed those properties every month. Don't buy those ones. But if you could buy a property that the stress test, whether it's an official bank stress test or your own stress test, says it still makes money, it still washes its face. That was a term we used to use in 2008 and 9. I don't know, 6, 7, 8% payable. Then of course that's not as good as we've had it for the last couple of years. I don't think we'll get to 6, 7, 8% payable, but if you did, you'd still be okay. And then you come back to the question, well, why would you buy that then? Why would you buy that? There's 2 reasons. The first one, it's not just buying BuyToLet. You've got to consider, and if you don't get this bit, look through the channel, Google it, start doing some research. We don't just invest in a BuyToLet house. We don't just buy a house and it's a £100,000 house and they want 25% deposit. We say, 25 grand, we put it in the house. We don't do that. That might be a silly thing to do. It's certainly a silly thing, might not be the right way to put it, but it's not something we would do because we know a different way. We will always try and buy a house and renovate it for less than it's going to be worth in the end. So when we're buying a property, we're basically buying equity.
Or creating it.
Creating equity. And there's nowhere else on the planet Earth where you can... Well, if you take any of our typical deals, and you just need to scroll through the website or go through our website, forthelandlords.com, got loads of examples on it. The YouTube channel, Picking Up the Keys and Finish videos, there's usually some figures in there. Just start looking. If you buy a house for less than it's worth, you spend some money renovating it and it's worth more money, that's equity, yeah? And usually on our deals, it's anywhere from £25,000 to £35,000. Where else can you make that? I can't save 35 grand a month, which effectively I'm buying a house a month. That's making 35 grand a month. That's good. I'm putting it in the absolute best place because it's in an asset. And this is the second reason. First reason, we're creating equity. The second reason for buying is I'm putting that equity in the best place, an asset that's going to go up in value over time. And you can't convince me it won't. People say, oh, the market will crash. You're going to be in trouble.
Well, that was going to say to you next, so.
Go on.
A friend of mine said to me the other day, my pension's going to be like a bit crap when I retire. And I said to him, I don't really have one, I've just got my houses. And he said, well, they're all going to lose 30% though, soon. Yeah. And I said, well, they're not. And nor is the house you live in, because I know where you live.
Yep.
It's still affordable. There's more to the market than just the market.
Yep.
So why won't a crash happen
Yep.
in the properties that we buy?
Before I answer that, I'm also going to just everybody be careful. I said it in the last video. Know your numbers. Don't just believe. That's effectively I'm listening to the guy down the pub.
Yeah.
And there are tropes. There are things that get trotted out so regularly that people will repeat them without understanding what they're saying. And I remember on the YouTube comments, there's a few things in there where it's like, I don't think you actually realise that you're just repeating something. You don't know the numbers behind that. That's just not true. So the facts, know the facts. 2008, the worst crash in history, and use the word crash in inverted commas, property prices went down by 13% across the whole of the market. Now, I don't think 13% is a crash. Yeah, stock markets can crash 30% in a month, 2 months. Property prices slowly sagging 13% over a year, I wouldn't call that a crash. However, could still be concerning. Am I buying properties with a risk that the property price could go down by 13%? I suppose I am. I don't believe I am, because that's the whole of the market. The whole of the market reduced by 13%. We buy 2 and 3 bed family houses, and they're insulated. They're not completely protected, but they're insulated from that kind of shock. 13% was all properties, including £500,000, £1 million. Yeah, they will be affected because people will lose jobs, businesses will make less money, and those houses will reduce down in value. And yes, you can knock £250,000 off a £2 million house. That's a big number.
Yeah.
But actually, if you bought the house 10 years ago and you want to move on, and you've got to sell because the bank needs the money for, you know, the paying down a business debt that you've secured, and those kind of things happen, and they affect the market disproportionately. That can happen. That's not going to happen to us and the houses we buy, and we don't buy flats. Flats have got a very up and down. They can go up and down. So the kind of houses that we buy, I'd be very surprised if they did anything much more than sort of 5% decrease, fell by much more than 5% as all properties in that sector, 5% in a year. I wouldn't be surprised if they actually rose, because
Definitely.
while all sorts of stuff's going on crazy in the market, first time buyers are jumping on those, people are downsizing to these, more landlords getting involved. I think there's loads of the reasons why they could stay up actually.
Buy houses where 70-odd% of the country live in houses like that.
Yep.
So there's always a demand for
Insulated is the right word.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
is the right word.
Yeah, you only have to look at the rebuild valuations on the insurance.
Yep, gone up massively. Other reasons, these are sort of just a list of stuff now, isn't it? That's one. I see values of properties going up. Now, even if prices do this, the underlying value is just going one way, because bricks are starting to cost more, timber's costing more, labour's costing more, and it can take years for that to start to shine through, but it definitely will. You know, if you can't build the house for less than, I used to say 125,000, it's probably 175. Yeah. I've just seen a rebuild valuation on a 2-bed terrace of 230 odd £1,000. I think it's BICS that there's the calculator. Of course, that includes knocking it down and legal fees and all those things, but still a big number. And we're looking at buying that house for sort of 100 grand. You know, it's like, that's an inherent imbalance in there. You know, so the other thing that's definitely worth mentioning is rents are rising. So if interest rates are getting back to more normal times, interest rates didn't rise that much for quite a while, and now they've come back up again. And I'm still looking, so lots of my mortgages have gone up a bit, and I am making a little bit less money, but most of it's been covered by rent rises, and I wouldn't be surprised if all of it was covered by rent rises over the next 2 years. Lots of landlords are calling us now, when can I have my Section 13, when can we put the rents up, when can we do it? And the answer is, actually I think we can do it, you've got 2 months to wait or whatever. We look at it as an annual cycle, but rents can rise. Give you a clue and an idea. Our houses in our area, give you an idea. A £500 rent, and it was £500 over in Northern. 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago would have been 500 quid, and now they're £900. That's a massive jump. But bear in mind they went up from 400 to 500 over 6 or 7 years. So rents are rising. Any other questions? I've got one other point, but you can ask as many other questions.
No, go on. What's your point? And then I'll see if I've got any other questions.
I regularly, I genuinely think this, and I get accused of being gung-ho's a word that comes about, or gung-ho, and sometimes it's like, oh, you're quite blasé about that, or quite relaxed about that, and I'll always say buy more. Now, I'm not relaxed about it. I think about it a lot. I like to know my numbers. I like to be certain. I've got a plan. It's going to take a lot to shake me from that plan. I like a phrase that I like a lot is plough your own furrow. When did you ever meet a successful person that listened to all that noise? That's like it's not schizophrenic, is it? But it's a neurotic kind of like, oh, always worried. They're not, it's like, you can't be that. You've got to be a little bit bold. If you're going to be worried about stuff, you're not going to do much. Don't be reckless. Don't confuse reckless gung-ho. It's like, no, I've considered, I've got a plan, and I'm just going to keep executing it. And I kind of block out a lot of the noise, because a lot of it is noise. I do, if interest rates were this and that, I would stop. I'd be telling you, we're not doing this. But I genuinely, I'm keeping going. So, the message there is life's short, and I've said that before in the last video. You haven't got time to muck around. If you've got, 10 years, 15 years of investment left to go, what can you buy? I can buy a house a month. So if I stop for a year, that's 12 houses less. And 12 houses less is a lot of money 10 years from now. And I need it for sitting on my yacht in Monaco. How else am I going to pay the crew and fill the thing up with diesel, eh? I need it.
So I wanted to maybe finish on a quote from a client.
Go on.
He was the one that very kindly called us the cannon and ball of property. Said it was a compliment, not really sure what he means by it.
I'm not sure if it's a compliment, mate.
Yeah, maybe you can hear our new kitchen being fitted in next door as well, a drill. But anyway.
It's a good microphone.
He ended the email saying, he's buying a new house, it's going through sale complete in any sort of day now, I think. When I come to remortgage this house, I know the options are unlikely to bowl me over in the same way they did maybe last year. Mm-hmm. But one way or another, I trust it will all stack in the end, and we know from history there's money to be made in any cycle. And I thought cycle really interesting. That's why I said, is BuyToLet dead in 2022? The BuyToLet that we've had for the last 10 years is dead.
In many ways,
of course it is, because you've got different interest rates, and you're not going to make as much monthly cash flow anymore. So what? You're still going to get all the benefits. You're still going to get some monthly cash flow. Still going to get your capital growth.
Yeah.
And what else would you do instead?
Yeah. Which is not a flippant question. What else would you do instead? Where else can you make £25,000 in equity in one single transaction, regularly, repeatable, I wouldn't say without risk, but relatively risk-free. Buy a house, cheap, add some value, it creates instant equity, effectively pays you to buy it, doesn't it? It pays its own finance costs, it washes its face, it's paying, what else was going to pay its own finance costs? You buy some gold, could you get a mortgage on gold? I suppose you can, I've never tried, but you can get a loan to buy some gold. Well, how are you going to pay the loan? The fact that it's going to make you, the house is going to make £200 or £300 or £400 to profit, it's neither here nor there in some ways. I mean, I'd quite, of course, we'd rather have it than not have it. It's the fact that you can even do it that's incredible. And then that house is going to go up in value by a quarter to a third of the UK national average salary every year. Buy 5 of them, you're making more than the average person does just from houses, sat there without having to work for it. It's a lovely way to make a living. Put like that, I'm just going to keep buying. I always imagine, every house I buy now, I imagine what it's going to feel like in 10 years' time when I come to refinance it and I notice it's gone up by 100, 150, 200,000 pounds. Now, it might seem a long way away to anybody who's just buying their first house now, but trust me, it felt a long way away to me 20 years ago. I now get to refinance 1, 2, right now I've actually lost count, I don't know if it's 6 or 8, I can't remember, houses in this, I've got that's how many I've got. It's not all 1 month, but it's, you start one and it goes on, doesn't it? So I know I've got a plate full. I've kind of forgotten how many houses I'm refinancing right now. It feels really good when, and this is the second bite of the cherry on most of these, there's 30, 40, 50,000 pounds dropping in the bank account on every single refinance. Just get going now. That's the main point. Not the 200 or 300 quid every month. It's nice to have. It's been nice to have. But the main point is the capital growth. And the upshot of this, and this is the subject for another video, because of all this uncertainty, that you're talking about cycles, there is more opportunity out there now. Why am I refinancing? Why am I pulling all this money back in? Because actually I'm borrowing a little bit more aggressively than I would. And of course I'm paying a little bit more interest rates right now to do it. I want that war chest because it's coming. It's not about the prices coming down and buying them cheaper. It's just the opportunity. Death, divorce, debt, distress, people who have to move. I'm not taking advantage. We're not saying we're going to push the price down. It's just that our offer, which is always the same, it's always the same. It's that. And most people say no. And it'll just take a little difference. Not usually, maybe 1 in 10 say, probably 1 in 15 say yes to our offer at the moment. And maybe it'll come down to 1 in 10, and maybe we'll just manage to buy slightly more. And that's all it'll take for me. Instead of buying 1 a month, I'll be buying 2 or 3 a month. And that's a massive difference for me, just personally. And that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. I'm going to be keeping buying. So, did we answer and get through all the questions?
Happy with that.
Okay, right. Bye for now. Subscribe, click the notification and give us a thumbs up if that's, no, it's not, it's the other one. It's the other one. Write comments and questions down below. And if you're serious about BuyToLet and you've got a genuine interest in taking things further forward, there's always a link, I told you it was a sales pitch, to come to a discovery day in the description. You just click on it, forthelandlords.com/discovery. We run a discovery call, so it could be just like this. Got a few slides as a presentation, but it's a chance for you to get any question about BuyToLet generally, not about our business, about BuyToLet answered. So book onto that call and you can get this in a two-way conversation. Right, bye for now.
Thanks.
Bye for now. Cheers.